if you begin with 3 blankets, let's say, because your neck bothers you and that helps you, you begin with 3 blankets. After 6 months, your neck bothers you again, so you use 4 blankets. Another 6 months, your neck again bothers you. As time passes, you are using more and more support instead of less and less. That means you are doing something wrong in spite of using the prop. Otherwise, the prop should educate the body and you to decrease that support. If I'm sitting like this and I try and take Jalandhar Bandha, if my chin doesn't come down easily to come into the notch of the chest here, then it gives an indication. Can you put this behind my head?
Yeah. Put this
Make it horizontal. Let's say I can drop my chin like this. Is it horizontal? Make it horizontal on my head. So then I need this much between my shoulder and the bottom of this block. I need that much height to do Sarvangasana easily.
Okay. So this is your head on the floor?
My head is on this is the floor in the floor. And the floor is not going to tilt like this. Floor remains horizontal. So if I cannot bring the chin down any more than that, then theoretically I need this much from shoulder to the bottom. Huh?
This much?
Yeah. Need quite a lot of support. Fortunately, in that pose, the shoulders help, the movement of the shoulder helps. So you may not need as much. But ultimately, both in Jalandhar Bandha, I say, when I do Jalandhar Bandha properly, the chest is lifted. So this is much more horizontal. And that has to be learned successively. Even in Jalandhar Bandha, the head of the humerus is not dropped, otherwise the neck will not work properly. Head of the humerus is lifted up, chest is lifted up, into that I rest my chin. That would be Jalandhar Bandha, more required in pranayama than in asana practice. Okay, you can sit back if you wish. This was just to help you get out of virasana.
Yeah, I need it.
So the question then becomes, when I'm doing Sarvangasana, the very first time I was in Mr. Iyengar's class in Brighton in England, the way Sarvangasana was done for me was he put his big toe under my neck and lifted it, which means the 7 cervical vertebrae was not on the floor at all, not even close to them. You have to achieve that by lift of the chest, by proper rotation of the shoulders, so that the neck is not touching the floor. Or if you are on a support, it should not touch that support. To go on 3 or 4 blankets and then let the neck rest in it, so the 7 cervical vertebrae is resting on that support, you're not achieving anything. You're making the neck worse. So I'm going to look at that first before we go into anything else. There's no other question. Before I do that, anybody has any other question? So Andrea, please get a chair. Now we are going to do an inversion. The chair. Hold the legs of the chair. And yes, when you hold the legs, rotate the arms out. And in rotating the arms out, this skin has to rotate down more and more and more. Lift the pelvis up and get the shoulders as close to each other as possible. This sharpness should be such that, I don't know, from a distance you might not quite see it, But as I see, this skin is formed in. My teacher said this skin should be like a wet cloth that has been ironed onto something. You iron the cloth where there is no crease at all here. So much more rotation is required. And if I was Mr. Iyengar, I would hit it. Not only the outer skin, you should roll as though the skin of the head of the humerus is rolled. Roll the bone itself much more. If I touch you here, I feel we are touching from the outer surface of the bone. Touch much more the outer surface. Lift the inner part of the bone off the floor by making this heavier and heavier and heavier. Not an easy thing to do. And in the beginning, to keep the length of the neck properly, hold on to that leg of the chair firmly with your feet, push the chair back and drag the chest further and further away. So by dragging the chest further away, in fact, lifting the chest towards the front and proper grounding of this, there should be much more space under the neck here. I can only put my finger under here. I should be able to put my big toe under the neck here. There should be that much space. So in the beginning, you're encouraged, don't even push the chin into the chest. Do not bring the chin to the chest. This is another big mistake. Lot of instruction given, even written. Bring the chin to the chest. No, don't bring the chin to the chest. Bring the chest to the chin. Means the action of joining these two begins at the back of the chest. It doesn't begin by tilting the head further and further down. In fact, lift with your eyes and with your face, look away from your chest. Look this way. Yes. Now there is some space. Close that space not by dropping the chin, but by lifting the chest into it much more. All the actions follow. Shoulders rotate out, chest is lifted forward, chin is kept stable. Into that, you slowly bring the chest further and further forward. A lot of work is required to do this. But don't do wrong work. Now, here, in spite of all this, if because of some injury or past happening with if the neck is still on the floor, that's all right. Reluctantly use a support, but the support is under the shoulder, not under the neck. All right, and come down, say thank you. Any question on that? By all means, use whatever height you want under the shoulder. But after using that height, make sure the shoulders are on that. Your shoulders are heavily planted on that, so that the neck is preferably not touching that support at all. And in so doing, don't force the chin down. Lift the chest to touch the chin. Don't bring the chin down. Mountain, Muhammad. Everybody take a chair.